Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the entertaining energy herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
Hello, we're at 150. Hee.
This is episode 150 and June 7th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Sandy's astrologically interesting day, solar eclipse, new moon in Gemini, June 10th.
Solar eclipse. Use those glasses and be ready to download.
Same day, Sun conjunct Mercury Retrograde.
The inferior Kazimi.
Friday, June 11th, Mars ingress Leo.
No dignity, no doubt.
Sunday, June 13th, Venus sextile Uranus.
Color your hair.
And same day, Sun square Neptune.
Pure intent.
And in Talisman time, Sandy has finished up a few. Many more to discuss upcoming. And on the horizon, we have our astrology forecast ready for you to watch now, as well as the cheat sheet for June, our Eclipse webinar coming up this week, and our Talisman trunk show and raffle, and a few other workshops you won't want to miss. Then in our house, Sandy's going to school us on the benefits of Mercury Retrograde, and she and I are also going to share our plans for what are we going to do during this Mercury period. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions. And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is fierce. And so you finally know you control where you go. Hello, Miss Entertaining Energy.
I'm interested in this one. I don't know what this would refer to.
You're entertaining. You're bringing friends over.
Oh my gosh. That's something I haven't done in so long. Really, so long, even when I was traveling, every week.
Right.
For the last 4 years. I never had anybody over.
It's been a while.
I do have Jim and Adriano here, my two best gay friends that are married. Perfect.
Right. But I mean, this is more of an entertaining night. You're bringing over the girls. You're going to have a buffet. You're going to
grill. We're going to go sit up on the rooftop deck. I've got everything organized and planned, and candles, and all my 15 solar powered lights are powered up.
Yes. It's going to be great.
The speaker and the telescope.
Oh, yeah, you're going to bring
a lot to do. There's going to be a lot to do.
A lot to do. Okay, well, let's go direct to all of our listeners. Again, thank you so much for sending in your feedback. I actually have 2 things that I want to share, and it's about our Jupiter in Pisces Talisman webinar. The part 1, the first event, has finished, and there is still time if you wanted to join us for the second. We'll talk more about that in our house, but I wanted to share these. First, we have Terry M. She wanted to send in her affirmation. And meanwhile, she goes, "Hey, Alex, the ceremony was so profound and beautiful. I relished every moment. Here's my affirmation. I am prosperous, powerful, and creative. I express my knowledge, wisdom, and love for everyone through spirit."
I love that one.
Thanks,
got goosebumps
Terry.
For that. Yes, express spirit. That's what we're really doing here, right? We're humanoids, human beings that have a connection to the cosmos. Are you using yours the right way? And Jupiter in Pisces can help you pull that intuition in.
And, well, I also have another one that I wanted to share too.
Go ahead. More.
This
Jupiter.
is from Linda. Hello, Sandy and Alex. Here is my necklace for the add-on. And we have this option. If people want to come back to these talisman making webinars, they can opt in to send in their either necklace or bracelet, and we are adding on each of these talisman beads. So she says, here's my necklace for the add-on. I love my talisman necklace because it hangs right over my heart like the stars above. I don't always see it, but as in The Little Prince so aptly said, what is essential is invisible to the eye. So blessed by these talisman offerings, worn close to my pulse and over my heart, they beat through me, and daily I am grateful for their magic. I love you both.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. they beat with my pulse.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so nice to have that little sidekick by your, either over your heart, on your wrist as your reminder.
Because on your wrist, it's a major pulse point, right? Mm-hmm. So it sits right there too. I love that you brought that to the surface.
Yes. And so we've added on her new talisman. And
it's heading back to Canada.
It's, headed back home where it gets to be back with.
Over her heart.
Yes.
And beating with her pulse. Now she'll have the 2 beats.
Yes. Double time. So let's move in the transits. So the first transit that we're going to start with discussing is actually Thursday, June 10th. So let's get right into it. This is your astro interesting day. So describe how you choose your astro interesting days.
1, it's a solar eclipse. So that means a new moon. This is at 19 degrees of Gemini. This happens at 5:53 a.m. I titled it Use Glasses and Be Ready to Download. It's in Gemini. And this is the information portal, right? The Gemini gathering data. Mm-hmm. But why I called it astro interesting is because, yes, it's the solar eclipse in Gemini, what rules Gemini? Mercury. And where is Mercury in the chart? Hours later, he is Cazimi, the sun. So in this solar eclipse with the moon crossing the solar, the moon is eclipsing the sun, and next to it is Mercury, the ruler of. So there's something unseen here. Now this is an annular, it's a ring of fire solar eclipse in Chicago. Here in Chicago, it's we'll be able to see it. 82% of it will be eclipsed by the sun. That happens at 4:43 in the morning, although the sun's not up then, but a half hour later. So you're getting up too, whether you know that or not. I'm going to clash in and get you up. So, and that's why I called it astro interesting, because the ruler is Cazimi, the sun. Now Mercury is retrograde. So there could be, something that needs to be tweaked, something that is unseen, something that is hidden from view, some information that's hidden from view. And that's why you have to download it, because you're going to have to trust that it's here. It's also in a trine to Saturn retrograde. It's giving us the ability to slow down, go at a slower pace, but something that has a longer period of time and influence. It's also square Neptune, which is having a vagueness. And Neptune is all about no borders, no clarity, right? So there's really an understanding here of what do we feel versus what do we know? Because what we know does not come to light yet until Mercury moves away from the sun, and that's some weeks away. So anyway, that's why I called it my astro interesting day. Also, the day before this is when Susan Goodell and I are doing our
CWS,
our
webinar.
Chatting with the Stars webinar, and our title is The Solar Eclipse, New Moon at 19 degrees of Gemini. And really that's $30, and it's available on the website now. Sign up to learn all about the solar eclipse and if it should hit anywhere in your chart.
Right. And the $30 is actually the personal version of it. Okay. 25 if you just wanted to be educated, and then 30 if you wanted to be educated on your own chart. So we'll talk more about that in our house. Okay. So continuing on, Friday, June 11th, we have Mars ingress Leo. Right.
So this is early in the morning, 8:34 a.m. No diggity, no doubt. Which then reminded me of that song.
Right.
Because
Shawty,
Mars,
get down.
Well, it's like get down, play around, east side to the west side. I like the way you work it.
No diggity.
Right.
No dignity. Oh my gosh, that totally puts a whole nother spin on
Did you get it? Oh, hello over there. What are you not seeing, but you're now just understanding?
I get it. Okay.
Right. You were like, I said, can we play that song, Alex? You're like, why? Yeah. And we can't. Probably,
well, if you say no diggity,
Yeah.
and you say no dignity, no doubt in that song, it totally changes the.
Well, because really Mars has really no dignity in Leo unless you get to it is the last 10 degrees of the Decan, which is, it's a minor place. And also Mars holds responsibility of the bounds of 24 to 29 degrees. So very, very little dignity. But you can still have fun since the Mars has just left the building where he fell, right? So if Mars is in its fall for the last 6 weeks into Cancer, when he went into Cancer 6 weeks ago, it's almost like he had to go to the hospital, right? Like Mars had to go to the hospital because he fell down and broke something, right?
Yeah.
He was
And
unable
he has a
to
boo-boo.
perform
Right.
his activities or physical exertions at a high pace. And so the fact that he's left the building, he was able to walk out of the building, out of his fall of Cancer into the next sign, which is Leo, and it's all about dancing, having fun,
Being
having
proud.
this experience of exuberance and excitability. So Mars is feeling positive here for the next 6 weeks.
Cool. And Sunday, June 13th, we have 2 transits. The first, Venus sextile Uranus.
Color your hair. Yep, it's a Sunday.
What color?
Your hair.
If you were to color your hair, what color would it be?
Gold.
Okay.
But
you already have like gold hair.
But like with gold glitter in it.
Okay.
Remember we tried to do that one year and I was looking for gold paint.
It's hard to find.
And then when we did do it, my hair got like hard.
Yeah, it's like a hair gel with like sparkles in it.
Yeah.
Mine would be, because I know you were about to ask, is hot pink. I always wanted hot pink hair.
And I see it with a rich red.
I could, yeah.
Rich.
I mean, if we're going more practical, it would be red. But hot pink is what I always wanted as a little
What color would you color your hair?
Yes.
And what part of the hair? The other part I always thought of doing is, I have this little like cut off area at the nape of my neck behind.
Right.
It always gets like the frizziness because I have curly hair. I always try and keep that really short. And I thought I should dye. Maybe that's what I should dye.
Purple.
Do purple.
Yeah.
But the only thing is I don't like pink, which is, just I've been wearing a lot of pink lately.
I've been enjoying
my 7. What does 7 mean? What did I say 7? I meant to say to bring my feminine nature back because
right.
my whole left side is getting kaput. My right side is good. I'm a strong masculine.
So you're bringing your feminine side in. Okay, let's get back. Venus sextile Uranus, color your hair.
Express yourself and your beauty through artful designs. Maybe it's a tattoo. If
Okay.
you got a tattoo, what would it be?
It would probably be one matching with you.
Well, then we're getting eye like cat like eyeliner.
Oh no!
Yeah, we're getting permanent eyeliner.
No.
Having an appointment with us next week.
Oh, okay.
On this date, Sunday the 13th.
No.
Okay, you just said you would.
Well, matching tattoos doesn't mean like
eyeliner.
makeup. So our makeup is always going to match. Mm-mm.
You're my daughter.
So moving on, do you have anything else to share about Venus sextile Uranus?
Well, just that, be on the surprise for, money or a relationship or more social invitations.
So like something valuable like Venus coming out of the middle of nowhere, which is like Uranus, right?
Right.
So something valuable, unexpectedly arriving.
Yeah.
Okay. The second transit of Sunday, June 13th, is Sun square Neptune.
It's a square, so, pure intent. And, it has 0 to little mojo, or I should say little to 0 mojo. But go ahead. You have permission to rest, relax, and restore. Because this is a Sunday, don't you know?
Yay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, this is a nice day to do all kinds of things. Express yourself and then rest. And maybe that's part of the expression.
Yes.
I'm going to go take my beach towel and I'm going to the beach. Peace out.
That'd be so nice. The weather's so beautiful here. So let's move into Talisman times. So you finished up the first one, Tuesday, June 1st, to increase health, vitality, and their benefits. Let's hear about this one.
I can and do rise to these occasions, each and every opportunity that presents itself, in order to come out of the situation I find myself. My mind and my body are proud of me.
That's your mic drop statement. I like that one.
You know, we got the moon coming up over the horizon with Jupiter. You know, of course, Jupiter is in early degrees, 1 degree of Pisces. We've got a 0 Pisces rising coming up over the side, and the moon is making this aspect to the Venus. So like this whole week, so what I've already finished and all the upcoming are all this Jupiter, moon, and Jupiter, moon, and Venus.
Right.
Yeah, it's they're all interlinked. There's a lot of mutual receptions going on. There's a lot of receptions going along, and there's a lot of aspects. And these are easy aspects to the benefics. So, really, if anyone is interested in a talisman,
this is a prime time.
This whole kind of period of time of all of these talismans I'm making that are up for sale. And I've got more personal intention bracelets that I've had in a long time that I'm working on now, because so many of the clients, so many of people that know astrology, new clients that
are realizing that something big is coming up, and then they want to connect to that.
Right. So because once we have that Jupiter, Jupiter will be still in Pisces till the end of July. However, he's going to turn retrograde, and those aren't going to be as beneficial. I'll still use it.
Right.
But not as beneficial.
It'll have a different spin on it.
Yeah, so these are the top ones. And actually on this one, I made 8 orbit necklaces, which are the
orbit of the month. I know. I'm excited about that.
So I'm doing more of not going back into stock. I'm going into brand new territory with these orbits of the month, because I'm going to grab the energy that is here this month. So you want, and very limited, I only made 8. And the orbit for, I combine, it's a shorter affirmation. This is, my mind and my body are proud of me.
And that's my favorite part of that previous talisman that we just discussed. So
it's up. Those are
I'm happy
up on
about
the website
that
right now.
Yes, they are. So let's move on. The next transit, which was happening Sunday, June 6th, you had 3 talismans that you were going for here.
Can I just pause here for a second? That was, let's say, last night.
Right.
Because we're moving into this on June 7th on Monday. Mm-hmm. However, we're recording this part on Sunday, June 6th. So I decided, because there was a 12:46, there was a 3:02, and then a 6:21 a.m. These were all AMs. And so by having that, so far along the night, and I knew it was going to be a clear night. I stayed up I got my telescope out early. I set the parameters. I had to do the calibrations, and waited for the stars to show up and do their movement. I want to just tell everybody, Venus is still in the sky. Mars is still in the sky.
Oh, good news.
Jupiter is still in the sky. I got to see Jupiter, and all 4 of the Galilean moons were with her with him, as they always are. But sometimes you can't see them all if they're either on the other side of
or
Jupiter
in front.
Or in the front. Yeah. That I was able to see all 4 of them. And there's Saturn whipping around, fast, even though it seems, you'll get him in the finder. And then all of a sudden I go to get my camera hookup, and I look in my little Barlow lens. I'm like, he's moved. So I didn't get any pictures, but he looks the same with his little ring around him, just in moving. It's just.
So you spent the entire night out on the top deck with the stars. It was pretty much like there were like a parade of stars happening above you.
And I tried to make the talismans outside, but it was just too dark. And I went inside downstairs, and to my talisman table. and made the talisman there. And then go back upstairs and then get under the blanket and lay down and watch and just chat and talk. And by 7 a.m., I was done.
Tired.
So I had to go to bed.
My goodness.
My bed. Yeah. But anyway, let's get into those. And so the first one I made was at like 12:46 a.m. to increase my financial assets. I feel esteemed, respected, and honored to request this expansion of prosperity. I am even more grateful to receive them. Thank you. And literally, this is the moon in a mutual reception with Venus, and there's a trine that way, a sextile with a trine to Jupiter and Venus. So that I had to grab at all different aspects of the night, you know, as the moon was rising, as Jupiter was rising, as Venus was rising. So that's why I was up so long.
And I really like that where you end it with thank you. And it's a very humble and gracious, grateful message. I like that. So Sunday, again, June 6th, to acquire all good things.
This was at 3:02 in the morning. And in between that, I had a couple personal intention bracelets that I grabbed that you wouldn't see, right? You wouldn't see this on the Instagram. But I was Instagramming these as I was taking them. I'm like, I know I'm going to pray. I'm not going to wake them up.
No.
Because I'm sending an Instagram post. But if you're up, hey, go outside and look. To acquire all good things. Please bind the sweetness in the... Oh, excuse me. Let me...
Go ahead.
Please bind the sweet influences of Pleiades to me. The auspicious fortune, the fire of transformation, creative energy, beauty, and abundance. I am full. And so Pleiades is, the root word for Pleiades is fullness. So it's about expanding with all these good things.
And quick question, is Pleiades one of the fixed stars?
It's a group of fixed stars that are 7 daughters of a god that they all hang out in the same spot. And we had...
so it's a constellation?
Yeah, it's a constellation.
Okay. So the final talisman that you created this very, very late / early night to create tremendous intimacy and love.
I allow this nurturing water to spill over me now. You and I drink from the same pool of sweetness. So much growth. Now this is the moon in a sextile, sextiling the Venus on the ascendant. So the moon is in the 11th house, and there's a mutual reception because the moon is in her exalted sign of Taurus, which is she was the whole night.
Okay. Which made it even better. Yeah.
She came up. Oh, I think I saw her about 3:30. She came up where I could see her. She was over the horizon around 3.
Came late to the party.
But she's in a tiny, tiny little crescent, in a waning crescent. And even though this is waning, sometimes you don't do talismans during waning. You do them during waxing. But because she was in this like acceptance and beautifying space between the Venus and Jupiter, this was just such a great night.
Can I ask you a quick question? What's the difference between waxing and waning?
Waxing is about growth.
So it's growing in light.
Growing in light. It's from the new moon to the full moon. Okay. And then from the full moon to the new moon, it's waning. It's losing light. Okay. And then we get to a new moon, which this new moon will be the solar eclipse that we're having on Thursday.
Right. And we actually have, well, I'll talk a little bit about this in On the Horizon, but we have a little special promo going on that only people who know about or that are on our mailing list will be receiving this special.
Oh, I don't even know.
You don't even know.
Okay.
It's for the solar eclipse. So let's move on to the upcoming talisman times. Let's start off with Thursday, June 10th, to benefit from ancestral gifts.
I really like this one. This is, again, that moon.
Jupiter.
the moon,
Venus,
Jupiter, Venus, they're all in a really nice, and this is the new moon. This is after the solar eclipse that we're having on Thursday morning. This is right around dinner time on Thursday, June 10th, to benefit from ancestral gifts. I am a daughter of a mother, as she is, as hers is. This line of heritage continues through the ages. I do my part with love, as the lineage proves to be.
that is beautifully written.
I want to cry right
That is
now.
so beautifully written.
Right? It makes me want to cry. Yeah, we've got Venus in the just it's all those planets just making this really nice.
But it's kind of cool because what we're seeing here is kind of like a snapshot in time of these planets doing their own little dance. They're kind of having their own conversation, and the subjects are ebbing and flowing into different and like developing into these different spaces and places. And that's how, you know, you're sending us through all of these talismans. So really exciting and very cool. I love this one.
Right? I do too.
It was very, like, you can feel the connection that you made from, you know, I am a daughter of my mother and she and hers. And just that connection, that very crisp line that you just like, it's just there and you can feel it. And you can feel those ancestral gifts that you that were bestowed upon you.
And, you know, I don't know, and I want you to see this. I sat down, I saw a Netflix hour-and-a-half show on Black women and their connections to their ancestors. Oh my! And I think when I saw this
Documentary.
in the sky coming in, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what it reminded me of. It's like from you and from you and from you and from you and from you through when I've never even been on the planet. Now I am here. I am this part of this line that continues some of these traditions and these ceremonies and rituals, or whatever these blessings are, these gifts. I mean, some gifts and blessings, well, I don't know that we would call them gifts, but things have to be dropped, right? And things have to be kind of born again. And this is taking the gifts, the ancestral gifts, and following it through along the path.
So the next one that we're going to talk about, the date, Friday, June 11th, we have 2 talismans that you've created. The first, to be surrounded by happiness and love.
Yeah, I'm going to create these. These aren't done yet. To be surrounded by happiness and love. I really want you to kind of picture this, that now the moon has moved off of the aspect of the early degrees of Jupiter in Pisces. Moon has moved along. And so now it's making the application to Venus. So now there's what's called an enclosure. So when a planet is enclosed in between, sandwiched, if you will, some aspect or array that is so separated from Jupiter and making her way to Venus is called an enclosure. So with that thought, let me read this again. To be surrounded by happiness and love.
Right.
This place is mine. I share it with you. I welcome more positivity in exchange for even more growth. I am protected.
I love that, because really I like the sandwich. I mean, like, who doesn't want to be sandwiched between the two, like, great benefics, Jupiter and Venus? It is that warm, loving hug. It's the good vibes. It's the happy place, you know, so it's all of that. And yeah. And
that's a great one. The moon is in Cancer. Where
it feels
Venus,
home and protected.
Right, where Venus has that high, he's in charge. He is the ruler. He is the manager. She gets to be in charge, and Venus is there. So Venus has moved into Cancer before Moon did, and Moon says, "Oh, hi! I'm glad you got here before I did. Is everything taken care of?" Right?
It's a great week for talismans. Man, let's keep going. All right. The next is to feel warmed with parental gifts.
Okay, we still have the enclosure. We now have the ascendant of Jupiter, and the moon still is in Cancer, making that conjunction, applying conjunction to Venus and separating from the Jupiter. To feel warmed with parental gifts. I am eternally grateful to be loved and protected by these financial assets. My elderly family members have provided these to me and for me. I handle these with focused intention, just like they have more to give. And this one, my moon is in Cancer too, and this makes me cry too. Oh my God.
Well, it's a passing. Yeah. It's a passing of the baton. It's especially when we really like focus in on the financial aspect of it, is, people work their whole lives and they gain wealth and they gain things, they collect, they save. And it's their life's work. Yeah. So it is a big deal when it's being passed down. Yeah. So that's beautiful.
And the 8th house, this is where the moon and Venus sit. And moon rules the 8th house in this chart. And so this is that whole inheritance, this whole legacy, what somebody has done before you is gifted to you.
Right.
But the 8th house is about, financial assistance from others. Yeah.
And Saturday, June 12th, to play with children or as a child. That's so great.
Right. No, it's completely different. Although this still is, the moon is in Cancer, and we still have that. This is the last talisman of the enclosure.
Yeah. Okay.
And what I've done here is that this is kind of is this the next day? Yeah, it's the next morning. This is the next morning. Actually, this is at 12:18 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Ooh, another early one.
Another early. Well, they all are, to get that the Jupiter in Pisces rising.
Oh, because
they're all that time. Right. Jupiter comes up because
they're
in
rising.
Pisces. That's when you have to get your butt out of bed. Mm-hmm. So if anybody's up for getting out of bed with me, maybe you do these as a pre-sale. Right. These are up on the website already, by the way. Aren't you proud of me, Alex?
And all of the links are clickable. Just head over to the description.
But the moon is making an exact conjunction with Venus in the 5th house. So 5th house is children. Let me go on. To play with children or as a child. I laugh at the silliness of acting like an innocent child. Mine or my inner child self. Hello there. Do you want to hear a joke? Isn't that funny?
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, that makes me cry too.
This is a lot of moon and Cancer here for you. Oh my goodness. So yeah,
right, it's about being silly and innocent and not caring.
Right. That's wonderful. Yeah. And it is, I love the fact that children can just walk up to another little kid and say, "Hi, my name's Alex. What's yours?" Or,
you want to hear a funny joke?
So I like the playfulness that you brought into that affirmation. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's actually an interesting day for me because I was just invited somewhere and I looked at the chart. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to play and with other, we're not children.
But other adults.
We can certainly act like children. A big group of us are going to an art fair.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah. It is a Venus thing.
Hopefully they have some face painting.
Yeah.
So
maybe I'll get my dreads put in my hair.
Oh,
I don't know, those clippy things. What do you do
okay.
At those?
That's very, very different from dreads.
Oh, okay.
So let's move on to Orbit of the Month, because this is actually going to be the first time we are announcing this. It's my mind and body are proud of me. That's just like that first talisman we described on June 1st. And this Orbit of the Month is really beautiful. It's a purple with a little bit of blues and pinks and greens.
Because it's Jupiter and Venus. I use the colors of Jupiter and Venus, purple and green, with some others.
Yes. So let's move on to the horizon, where I am going to give you the down low of all of the things that we have coming up. The June astrology forecast is live on Facebook and YouTube, so you want to check that out. If you aren't subscribed to our mailing list, I did send out a reminder not only to watch the hour-long free episode, but also the June astrology cheat sheet. It's a $10 easy calendar for you to have just right by your desk that has all of the astrology transits that we discuss here, that we discuss on the forecasts, and you get to know Sandy's favorite day, the challenging days, all of those, as well as a little commentary.
What Sandy says, what Susan says.
Right.
We have a different perspective. And that's why, astrologers can come from their own natal chart, their own perspective, and their own interest. So even though we're all on the same field.
Right. And you'll notice, and we've discussed this, or at least I've discussed this with clients, is you really want to find someone that you connect with, because not all astrologers are the same. They're going to come from a different, like you just said, perspective. They're going to have their own view on life and what it's about. So our next event I want to discuss is happening June 9th. It's this Wednesday. It's the CWS Solar Eclipse webinar. And the CWS is actually the Chatting with the Stars. This is where you and Susan come together, similar to the forecasts, but you're doing educational webinars where you teach people the dates, why this is important, what it means, and then you can also, if you're interested, is pay an extra $5 to get your personal chart looked at by Sandy, who will help, guide you in a certain way on how this is affecting or how this is showing up in your chart.
Well, what that is I send them a copy of their natal chart so that when we, in the webinar, go through the series of slides and we get to one slide and said, if you have the solar eclipse in this area of your chart, what house it is, these are the things that you could do to help with this solar eclipse, what you need to release and what you need to grow in its place. And that's
big, because that's all that solar eclipses are about. It is this kind of like this letting go. What do you need to shed? What do you need to get rid of? And also what needs to be kind of coming back and back into the light, right? So I know you and Susan have a lot of information that you're going to be sharing during this webinar. Everyone is invited. Just go ahead, click the link in the description, or head over to intentionbeads.com. You'll be able to see that in the event section. So June 16th, we have our Talisman trunk show and raffle. This is open to the public. Everyone can join. And the raffle is really, really cool because every raffle ticket that you purchase, they're $10, but every single one that you buy, I email you a gift certificate for whatever amount you chose. So if you chose to have 5 raffle tickets, that's $50. Then I go ahead and spin around a gift certificate and you have it right there in your inbox, ready for your next order, your next webinar that you want to join in on. So it's great. And it's available for a year.
Gives you the opportunity, because you buy a raffle ticket, to win something, right, with the hopes that your ticket gets picked.
Right.
And the raffle is a $244 talisman of your choice.
Yes.
And for those that have won in the past, they still have their, whether it was a $10 that they spent, they still have $10 coming off of their next purchase. Or if somebody spent $100, you still win.
And you get a $100 gift certificate.
And you get your $100 gift certificate. So
it's a double bonus.
You designed this about a year and a half or so ago, and it was just like win-win, because we're not out in the world doing...
It's win-win-win.
We're not out doing trunk shows anymore.
Right. And it's a really wonderful way for you to get in front of people who are interested in finding a talisman, because sometimes it can be overwhelming, looking at a screen and trying to figure out which one is for me. It's a lot of descriptions. It's a lot of unknowns. And so what you bring at this trunk show event is clarity of which one is going to be perfect for you.
So can I kind of just do a recall? I was just reminded that somebody that attended our last one, we have one about every 6 months, that attended our last one, wanted to, she must have seen it, scanned the website in
She
advance.
did beforehand.
In advance, and said, "Can I see this one about retiring successfully?"
Mm-hmm.
And we showed it to her. We went on to the card. I showed her up close so she could see the actual crystal sparkling, and reviewed it. She purchased it, and she just let me know about a week ago she did exactly that.
Successfully retired
in good standing.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's beautiful.
She's like, okay, I'm ready for my next one. But the fact that and it wasn't her first one, but it was a specific one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so exciting too, because for us, it's like, oh my gosh, you're doing it. This is happening. And it gets us so excited to be, to continue being the cheerleader. Mm-hmm. So let's move on. June 20th, we have at 5:25 a.m. This is early Central Time. So if you're on the East Coast or if you're in Europe, this is a perfect one for you. This is the Jupiter and Pisces Talisman workshop. So this is not only educational, but you get a very, very deep personal perspective on what's going on in your chart. So it's a small, intimate group. Sandy hand makes a talisman for you that can either be in bracelet form, necklace form, charm form, and we send it to you, and it's your talisman that you have, from this beautiful experience. So let's see. What else do we have? Okay, so June 26th, we also have the July astrology forecast. This again is on Facebook Live. You can RSVP by clicking on that link or heading to the website, and we would love to see you there. It's a really wonderful way to engage and ask questions to Sandy and Susan as they're going through the July dates. We will soon have the July cheat sheet as well, so keep an eye out for that.
Thank you for the reminder, Alex. Can we also just mention the 7-day challenge that's coming up in July?
Sure.
Yeah, 7-day challenge is July 10th. It starts on a Saturday at 10 a.m. Chicago time. July 10th through the 16th, and it's about a half hour each day at 10 a.m. Central.
And so, yes, get on the mailing list because then you're going to get more information there.
Yeah.
So let's move into our house. So I wanted to discuss in our house, welcome in everybody, Mercury Retrograde, because we're now in this Mercury Retrograde time, and it's so funny today when we're recording this. I've literally had to chop. Usually we can get an episode in, no edits. It's incredible.
No stopping, no starting, no getting rid of, no nothing.
Right.
And that's typically what we do. Roll in, we're done.
Yes. And
we started this days ago.
Yes.
And there has been interruption upon interruption. Now we don't have time. Now I got to do a reading. Now we got this. Now you got to leave.
The sirens, the ambulances, the motorcycles, it's just so many distractions and cuts.
So it is Mercury retrograde. So you're going to hear us, our different tones or backgrounds or whatever.
It's so crazy.
And that's what we want to talk about in our house today.
Yes.
Mercury
so it's
retrograde.
kind of perfect. It's accumulating into this.
It's what we had to talk about, and we got even more to talk about.
Because we've all heard of Mercury retrograde, and it's terrible time to do anything, of course. But in reality, Mercury retrograde actually has a lot of benefits that people don't realize. Mm-hmm. So remember when you read the book and then years later you go and you read the book again and there's something you didn't pick up the first time? Mm-hmm. That's the benefits of Mercury retrograde. That's what gives, this redoing, relaxing, retreating type of energy. It brings new messages to you.
So I didn't realize that when I decided, I never read a book for twice.
No, nor movies, except for one.
Except for the one, Eat, Pray, Love. Okay. But I just finished it again. The book Circe, which is a mythology book, but it's a fictional using
characters
from the mythological time period, and it just kind of gives them all a life, right?
Yeah.
And purpose
Personality
and, voice
and character,
and what they do.
Yeah.
And I just decided, because I've been reading one book for 2 years, this like whole saga of 9 books, and that's called Outlander. I've spent 2 years on that.
Serious.
And I got done, and I thought, what am I going to do? I can't go on to another book. And I just did that same thing with Circe, Circe. So I just finished that. So that's really, really
interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I wanted to pop on here and talk about the benefits of Mercury retrograde, because so many people out there, and this is, also astrologers, but also non-astrologers, like non-astrology people that will say stuff like this. Oh, it must be Mercury retrograde. And a lot of people pawn off the responsibility there,
blame.
The blame game. But really what we wanted to do is, one, talk about these benefits and what we can do about it, and what you and I are going to be doing about it, right?
So some of the things we could do during Mercury retrograde is the very word you've heard me say over and over again is the RE words, right? Like you take a word and then add RE to it.
Right.
Invigorate. No, reinvigorate.
Reread.
You want to AD. You want to aid, and then you add an RE to it, and then it's like read.
Okay. That's a reach.
Oh, yeah. How do you do that? H and RE.
No.
Reach.
We're now
like
confusing
rest.
everyone. This is not the benefit of Mercury retrograde, because that's when communication starts losing its wheels a little bit. So really, it's about this retrospective look at things. The way that you communicate, the way that you can, kind of like rework something.
And there's a period of time when Mercury, the planet of communication, negotiations, like you said, thinking, speaking, writing, words, intellect, messaging of any sort,
right?
Merchant services, trades, right? So if sales go down, and you can blame it on Mercury retrograde, but is there something you need to rework or communicate?
Right. And especially when it comes to your business, because Mercury also rules business transactions.
Yep.
So take a look at your customer journey. That's something that I'm working on, is like, how do I really, explain and educate clients about who we are and what we do in the best way possible. So these are the questions that I'm working on right now. And my main thing of why I'm, like what I'm doing to really get the best out of this Mercury retrograde is redoing some of the marketing courses that I've let fall a little bit. So just reinvigorating that momentum that I started to have when I first got that together. And we always have to do that, right? I mean,
right.
it's...
But particularly for you, can we go over a little natal astrology right now for you?
Sure.
On the solar revolution, at the solar return time, you moved into a 10th house year. You're 33 years old.
Right.
You moved in. Everybody moves into a 10th house on their 33rd birthday. And yours, what sits in your 10th house is Mercury.
Right.
And so Mercury being in there, it's not your time lord, but he's a very important player. Your time lord actually is Saturn. But that Mercury being in Aquarius in the 10th house says, hey, I'm here too, and I'm important.
Right.
You don't have a Mercury retrograde, but it just says any mercurial mental data thinking that you can do around career, 10th house career, your reputation, your profession, how you your visibility.
Right.
So to get people to come in, see what you do, see what you say, see how you direct them down a pathway.
Right.
Right. Of here, go here, shop here, do this. Oh, you've already done that. Now you can go here. Hey, what about a retreat? Like what you talk about is taking them through the journey of going into a website, because you designed the website.
Right.
And you built it.
I mean, also when you think about it, is, what we do is very different. Not a lot of people, you're not walking into the Apple store and you're already educated on the products, what they do, how it works. so those types of companies have done a really spectacular job at having consistency, having this, educational part of their company where, sometimes I feel like an expert, like I feel like an Apple expert, and you definitely lean on me for that when it comes
Alex,
to
I did the other night.
computers, iPhones. And so that's what I'm really trying to work on, in the admin backside of what our website does is, because that's when you can, like, you as a customer can make the best decision about, say, which talisman you want, or which, step are you going to make towards a personal versus a universal versus one of the smaller, $30 talismans. So anyway, I know that's a long explanation, but it's exciting. I'm trying to reinvigorate that.
There goes another one. Leave this going. Don't.
I can't believe that this just happened. Like, literally, we just had a random lady just walk up to the door, ring the doorbell, go, "Oh, I'm sorry, wrong door." This is hysterical.
We have never.
But this is the one we're keeping in. This is the one we're going to keep in the episode.
This is episode 150, by the way. Okay, so 150 episodes.
Right.
And if you divide that by every single week that we do that, I don't know, 52. We're on we're just about to
3
our
years.
Completed third year.
Right.
And we have literally gone into the studio, ran it the entire time.
Yep. Ran through we never had to stop.
In fact, our producer, I know you're our producer now, Alex.
Right.
Producer Alex, daughter Alex, marketer Alex,
the do it
boss Alex.
Right.
Girlfriend Alex. Anyway, all those. That we have never had this many interruptions throughout the entire 150 episodes.
It's so funny.
We added them all together. We have had way more. And really, one of the things I've been telling clients, it's Mercury's in retrograde. Yeah, he goes retrograde 3 times a year. But this time, he is going retrograde in all air signs. He hasn't done that in 6 years. So this whole year, he's going in air signs. Well, it's about an 18-month period. He started it in 2020, the end of 2020. And so he's hitting all the, right now, he's in Gemini, his own sign.
Right.
And then he'll go through Libra.
So it's kind of like, sign. The football team or the soccer team or basketball, whatever sport, they're on their home turf, but they're like they don't have their stuff together. Like, the team is not communicating well. Like, someone threw the ball over, but they weren't paying attention and it hit them in the side of the face.
Yeah.
Or it's like that.
Take that analogy. It's like, when I worked for the Bulls and, we're in the locker room, and when we thought we were going to win the championship, say that night, after halftime. So halftime, all the players come back into their
the locker room,
their locker rooms, and then after halftime, and I wasn't part of this, I watched it because I knew the plan, and of course the players knew the plan, because this was like going to be. If they won, it was going to be the 7th game that won the championship. Everybody is getting all the balloons together. They're all laying up there.
Yeah.
We go in, and I don't do it, but like I said, I watch that. We put plastic up along all the lockers. We tape this big, thick plastic, and everything is plasticized so that when the champagne.
And
everything gets.
Right.
Well, the one year we did all that, and they lost. So they had to go into the next game, which was out of town. So as the final buzzer buzzed, they're in there taking things apart. And when the guys go in to change and get their showers and stuff, they're like, things were askew. Right. So again, a disruption, a redo of something that was, a forward movement.
And maybe another thing too for Mercury retrograde would also be relax your expectations. Don't have these expectations that are solid and it's going to happen, because sometimes you really just need to take a step back and be like, well, that was my expectation and that isn't promised. So And so tell me a little bit, what are you going to be doing for this Mercury retrograde?
You already know, but I'm thinking you might be surprised here.
Okay.
Okay. Because we don't have any time to share.
This is when we talk. This is hysterical.
So I just had my solar return, in March for my birthday.
Right.
And this year I got a Gemini rising. So Gemini with Moon sitting right on the ascendant in Gemini. And, well, the Mars is there too. So we'll have to be careful not to get too angry. But if I can use that as a forward momentum. But that Gemini holds a place in my natal chart. Right? Thank you, Ben Dykes. Love him. So where is Gemini? What house does Gemini rule in my natal chart? And you go back and look, and it's the 11th house. Well, what's 11th house?
Groups, organizations,
friends. Yeah, the good
like
spirit.
Networking. Yeah,
right. Like, and what have I been doing?
Just that. You had like social. You're now like a little social butterfly.
I'm like putting this friend to this friend. I had a dinner party the other night. I got another one coming up. I'm going to do that thing with a bunch of friends. Like, suddenly I'm coming out of the house.
You're no longer a hermit. You've upgraded to a much bigger shell.
Well, I've invited them here. But the idea is taking that, what is forefront for me as the Gemini rising. Mercury is the ruler, and Mercury is in Gemini right now, retrograde. So I'm reconnecting with some friends and doing some social and chatting and, hey, what's up with you? And, I'm going to prepare this for dinner. And they're like, okay, I'll bring my own. I'm like, okay, what's up? Like you used to eat this stuff that I used to make. And they're like, yeah, well, it's been a year now. I'm a vegetarian. I'm like, okay, so bring your own food. I'll bring my own food. I'll have a place. I'll have a plate for you. And we'll share conversation, share a cocktail, and share our own individual meals.
So is that what you're working on then?
I'm working on my friendships. Yeah. I'm working on because my work for me is my 24, and especially in the last 24 hours, it's
been nonstop work. Right.
So work for me is my duty. My work for me is my duty to myself and to the world. I think I made a promise before I got here that all my energy would go in to establish who I am in the world so that I can help and cheerlead for others. I mean, it's in my natal chart.
Yep. It's so cool. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this benefits of Mercury retrograde.
What are you doing for Mercury retrograde? So check in
with yourself and see take an opportunity. What opportunities are around you right now that you can revisit, you can relax about, that you can, re-engage with. So we thank you all for listening to this episode this week.
Let's see if we can get to the end without another pot. Without another thing.
No more whammies. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you next week, and have a wonderful week, everybody.
Happy goodbye.
And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is free.